Good morning, Matt.
Mexico's president says no way, that his country is not going to pay for this wall. It's not the first time he said it. So is President Trump really going to risk funding that wall to the tune of between $8 and $20 billion of taxpayer money without a guarantee that we're going to get it back?
President Trump has been very clear and consistent on this point, Matt, that he's going to build the wall. Mexico will pay for it, whether they pay for it straight out or it's reimbursed later on after congressional funding. Let's talk about what this wall means and what executive action yesterday really signifies. It's a construction of a physical wall on our southern border, and it really, in addition to it, we're allowing more tools and resources for our law enforcement officers and our border agents.
Yeah, but this payment issue, Kellyanne, is a big issue. We're talking about billions and billions of dollars. President Trump says we will be reimbursed. It might be in a complicated form. I've got time. Explain the complicated form to me.
It's the 5th or 6th day on the job, Matt. He's already gotten so much done to boost wages.
But he's had a year and a half to think about this and explain it.
And he has, and he has many times, and the voters responded and elected him. In fact, we welcome the Mexican officials here next week. We know it'll be a productive but far-reaching conversation, and we know that Americans are tired of people and drugs spilling over the borders into our communities. That's what this is about. It's about being a sovereign nation. The United States of America spends billions of dollars protecting other countries' borders. It's high time we spend some money protecting our own.
However, you keep saying he has explained it. Even as late as yesterday in that interview, he said it will be in a complicated form. He didn't specifically lay it out. I'm asking you, can you do that?
Yes, I can, and he will. And he wants to give the deference to his meeting with the Mexican president and other Mexican officials before he announces that. I mean, welcome to Washington is hardly breaking news to talk about the complication of funding new projects, and that's what this is. But look, yesterday was very important for many reasons. He made good on a centerpiece of his campaign that helped him win the primaries and indeed the election. In addition to that, he's going to take this money away from sanctuary cities because Kate Steinle ought to be a household national name. She was murdered by an illegal immigrant who had been deported 5 times, who had a criminal record. Why was it being harbored in Nancy Pelosi's San Francisco in a sanctuary city?
Let me ask
They own that.
Let me ask you one question about torture. The president said again, as recently as yesterday, that he's heard from people that it works. His newly minted defense secretary says he's against it. His newly minted CIA director said in his confirmation hearing he'll absolutely not restart the enhanced interrogation program, and he can't imagine he'll be asked to do that by the president. Will you guarantee me that the president will defer to those 2 gentlemen and not ask them to go back to that chapter in our history?
What President Trump said as recently as yesterday is, as these gentlemen get confirmed in their post, he will consult with and perhaps defer to his CIA director and his Secretary of Defense. Obviously, there's a split of opinion within the community because President Trump also told ABC News' David Muir that he has talked to other people within the community that believe it does work. But obviously, he will be meeting with he'll do what leaders do and new presidents and commander-in-chiefs do, Matt. He will meet with his own national security and defense team and make a judgment.
Let me just end on this question of this investigation into alleged voter fraud. 3 to 5 million people, President Trump says, voted illegally in the last election, costing him the popular vote. It seems like an ego issue to him. Can I ask you this, Kellyanne? Would you put your own credibility on the line with that claim? Would you agree with that claim?
Well, Matt, I hardly think it's an ego issue. One person, one vote is a hallmark of our democracy. Even your own Pete Alexander just admitted that these registration rolls are a hot mess.
But that is not voter fraud.
No, but this is what the president was talking about. He's talking about registration and rolls. And why not have an investigation? What is everybody afraid of? He has said he's put his evidence on the line. He's like to put his evidence on the line, have an investigation, and see. And I just want to correct a part of your reporting. I talked last night with Tiffany Trump, and she said it is flatly false that she is registered in 2 states. And I recall talking with Tiffany all through the fall when she was trying to make sure she can re-register in New York to vote for her father. She had been registered in Pennsylvania and went through the process, said it was very Byzantine and took a long time, but she said that she is not registered.
What about Stephen Bannon? Is he registered in 2 states?
I haven't discussed that with him, but I can guarantee you he didn't vote in 2 states. But doesn't it prove the point that even people who are trying to follow the law, they haven't been purged from the rolls where they clearly have said taking off the rolls?
No, it proves the point that you can be registered in 2 states and not vote illegally in 2 states and sway an election.
There's no evidence of that. I mean, Matt,
That's what the
is everybody
president
afraid
claimed.
of?
He claimed that these people voted illegally.
He's claiming that people do vote illegally. He's claiming that there are dead people in the rolls. There are people who are here illegally and should not be on the rolls. And again, I would just ask everybody, including your network, was so excited to cover Jill Stein's recount, which was completely bogus and a sop to the taxpayers. But when she wanted to recount in Wisconsin and Michigan, everybody thought it was such a great idea. Why was she recounting? She said there was fraud at the ballot. What was her claim?
But at
what was her basis?
And at that time, didn't the president come out and say there's no evidence of fraud and that recount was unwarranted?
And that's what the judges ultimately thought. It was a big embarrassment, but Jill Stein, Miss Woman of the People, ended up pocketing a lot of money for future political endeavors. But I think everybody's cherry picking to call this an ego trip for the President of the United States when he is the leader of our democracy and when he just wants to make sure that the undergirding hallmarks of our democracy, one person, one vote, are protected. I appreciate, Matt, that he's doing it without a political campaign on the horizon. That's when things like this should be managed.
And we will go back and we'll look into what you just said about Tiffany to make sure we have our facts straight, Kellyanne. Thank you very much for your time.
That came from her. Thank you, Matt.
Okay, thanks very much.